let's look at this one together. Again, we're going to follow PEMDAS every time we see one of these problems. So we've got parentheses, then exponents, multiplication and division in order from left to right, and then addition and subtraction in order from left to right. Now, just so you know, when I was working on setting this problem up, I intended for this to mean the mixed number 4 1/2. It just was a little tricky typing that on my iPad. So that's what that means. So don't let that confuse you. Just means 4 1/2. So I have in this problem subtraction, multiplication, and addition. I don't have any parentheses, so I don't have to worry about that. We can go ahead and check that off like we've already done it. We know in 5th grade we won't have any exponents, so I don't have to worry about that step. Now, I do have multiplication, but I don't have division. If I had both of them, I would have to work in order from left to right. But since I only have multiplication, I just need to solve this part of the problem. And then we're going to replace this operation with the answer. So I have 1 6/10 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2, plus this one is 3. The answer is not 32. What's the important step that I have forgotten? I have to put the decimal in the right place. So I look at each factor. This factor has 1 place after the decimal. This factor has 0 places after the decimal. So that's a total of 1 place after the decimal in my product. So my decimal point goes here, and 3 2/10 makes much more sense than 32. Let's think about that with estimation. 1 6/10 is close to 2. It would round to 2. If I multiplied 2 times 2, my answer should be somewhere near 4. My answer is much closer to 4. 3 2/10 is much closer to 4 than 32 is. So I know my decimal is in the right place. So let's rewrite the problem that we're solving. I don't know why it did that. Let's fix it. We're going to replace this operation with the answer that we got and write the rest of the problem down. So we're done with this step. There is no more multiplication or division in this problem. Now we have addition and subtraction. And I need you to remember this very important part right here. In order from left to right. So I have subtraction here and addition here. I don't want you to be tempted to do the addition and then come back and subtract. We do them in order from left to right. So that means I have to do this subtraction before I do the addition. So I'm going to solve 3 8/10 minus 3 2/10. 8 minus 2 is 6. 3 minus 3 is 0. I bring my decimal point straight down in addition and subtraction. So I'm going to replace this operation that we just solved with its answer. 0 6/10 plus 4 1/2. Now, here's where we have to figure out what we're going to do next. We know we have to add these two numbers together because that's all that's left. But one's a decimal and one's a fraction. We need to figure out how to get them both into the same form. They either both have to be decimals or they both have to be fractions, one or the other, but they can't stay two different types of numbers in order for me to solve this. So I'm going to erase all of this and give myself a little bit more room to work because I want to show you both ways to do this problem. 6/10 can be written as a fraction, just like it can be written as a decimal. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write 6/10 as a fraction. And right now, these two numbers do not have a common denominator. But I can make 1/2 turn into tenths, right? I can change that to have a common denominator of 10. So I'm going to keep my 6/10 the same. And I'm going to figure out 1/2 is how many tenths. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say 1/2 is, I don't know yet how many tenths. I do know that 2 times 5 is 10, and whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator, and 1 times 5 is 5. So 1/2 is equal to 5/10. So now I know my numerator should be a 5. So I can add these two together now, and I have 4 11 tenths. That doesn't seem right. 4 and 11 tenths. Can I leave it like that? Can I leave it in that form? I can't. This is an improper fraction right now. I'm going to slide this up so I have a little bit of room. So I have to figure out what to do with this improper fraction. 11 tenths is equal to 10 tenths plus 1 tenth. And this 10 tenths is 1 whole. This equals 1. So I can put this 1 whole with the 4 wholes that I already have, and that would be 5. And then I still have to make sure I don't forget about this 1 tenth right here. So this would be 5 and 1 tenth. That's one way to do it. Let's look at it with decimals. So if I started with this problem, I have 6 tenths is already written as a decimal. We've got to figure out how to write 4 and 1/2 as a decimal. Well, the good news is we've already done that work. We did that work right here because we just need to know tenths. Tenths is a decimal place. It's this decimal place right here. And we know that 1/2 from the work that we just did is equal to 5 tenths. So I can write this as 4 and 5 tenths. Then I just have to add these two numbers together. 4 and 5 tenths plus 6 tenths. 5 plus 6 is 11. That seems familiar. That's where that 11 came from. 1 plus 4 is 5. Bring my decimal point straight down. The answer is 5 and 1 tenth. 5 and 1 tenth is equal, this 5 and 1 tenths is the same as this 5 and 1 tenth. It's just written in two different forms of the number. So you have the option when you see problems like this to figure it out as decimals or use fractions. If it's a multiple choice, you need to look at the answer choice and see what form you're being asked to give the answer in. But in the case like this, where you're asked to just solve it, you could decide, do I want to do that as a decimal or do I want to work with fractions? The choice would be yours.